Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ISMA World, and welcome to the next in our series of webinars presented by our global partners. Today we have a very interesting offering. Incidentally, we have registered members logging in from China, Finland, Germany, Japan, Mexico, Portugal, Slovenia, South Africa, Turkey, and Zimbabwe. So I think we're looking for a nice presentation, but without too much talking, let me present today's speaker. I'd like to introduce Mr. Gunnar May. Gunnar is the Director of Exhibitions for Messe Stuttgart. And today he's going to put a different spin on exhibitions. He's used to selling the concept. Today he's going to talk about specifically how an exhibitor best gains from exhibiting. What do they do to present themselves, to maximize themselves? So over to you, Gunnar. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Manuel. Thanks for the introduction. And thank you, anybody attending at this time of the day. Bob, you mentioned having attendees from all around the globe. Highly appreciated. Yeah, I hope I can fulfill what you announced, dear Bob. First of all, I have to make a technical step and share my desk. I hope you can now see the screen.
Yes, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you still see the screen? You don't see my notes?
No, it's coming over perfectly.
Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, a warm welcome. Gunnar May. I am responsible for all the industry shows Messe Stuttgart is organizing at our venue in Stuttgart, Germany. The venue of Messe Stuttgart is located in the direct neighborhood of Stuttgart Airport and is ranking within the top 10 exhibition venues in Germany. If we're looking at its size, we have roughly 120,000 square meters gross space available. In total, we have 10 halls and 1 international conference center. Well, in March 2020, Messe Stuttgart, as well as all other venues, went into lockdown. After we had a period of growth in the exhibition industry for the last 10 years, with new shows entering the market, existing shows growing bigger and better, and more international shows in the emerging markets. All of a sudden, our industry of the event business came to an immediate stop when COVID-19 hits the world. And due to the character of our business, which is bringing people together, we were the first industry sector that has been locked down. And as by nature, we have been the last restarting after millions of people finally got vaccinated, and as by today, dominant mutant of the virus named Omicron became luckily less dangerous than the mutants beforehand. Talking about trade shows, within these 24 plus months, we were forced to start and develop digital activities. We weren't able to meet for months, and I think we all made different experiences with the digital events, either with or without any avatars, either with virtual booths or with digital platforms providing information, either with or without video chat or digital handshakes. The major question in all this time was whether trade shows will come back or not. And if they're coming back, in which way trade shows will come back. Are the big shows rather winners or losers, looking at the brand attraction on the one hand side, but on the international participation on the other? Also, the question was which ratio of digitization will be needed and realized for trade shows, and how will digital offers prevent or rather enable participants to attend a trade show? Will the marketing and the sales budget, will this be spent on physical events ever again, or will digital channels replace the former marketplace concept? from my point of view as a trade show organizer, the situation is absolutely clear, especially as today's webinar from my side is held within the ongoing Grinding Hub show, which started on Tuesday this week here in Stuttgart. We have 370 companies from all around the globe who are offering their products, being present on their booths and displaying the latest technology on grinding technology. Trade shows are and will remain an irreplaceable tool in the toolkit of a company. I think we all experienced a lot of digital events, but now trade shows are
sorry to interrupt you, but we just looking the first slide.
Yes.
Are you moving?
Yes, that's good. That's it's
okay.
okay. Still with
okay. I suppose you were still okay. Okay.
No, good. Thank you. Talking about live communication and the value of personal meetings, either set up or by hazard on the aisle or a booth, this can't be replaced digitally. Especially as there is so much more to trade shows than just sales. And I want to try to give you a brief overview of all the functions a trade show can fulfill and maybe give you some checklists or some do's and don'ts you may want to put on your list for the next trade show you're setting up. First of all, about the situation of trade fairs in the marketing mix, we're still at 78%, at least in German companies, who are seeing trade shows as important or very important within their marketing and sales mix. Looking at the 5 most important goals of an exhibitions, there is increasing awareness for the company or innovations, is of course taking care of existing clients, but also the acquisition of new customers, that's for sure. Another target for many companies is to improve on the image of the company or the brands that are represented or presented on the booth. And last not least, the presentation of new products, new services, and getting a feeling for a market or for the launch of a new product. And if you are making use of Google and you're looking for a technology or for a product and you type in this product or the technology, for sure you will find a trade show or the link to a trade show on the first page of Google, because trade shows are the kind of marketplace where you can find the latest technology for the individual industry. Now there is 1,000 ways of setting up a booth, of preparing for a trade show, or of present yourself at a trade show. And sometimes, like in this picture, it's the small details which make a big change. If you look on the left-hand side, you see a guy who is looking like he just finished a long day on the road. And on the other hand, there is a guy who may want to teach you something with a PhD. And this is the same that is applying for your trade fair presentation or your the displaying of products or the organization of your booth. So if you think of your last booth visit, it makes it different if you have to enter a booth via a portal where you have to log in and register yourself, or it's an open space booth. If you think about maybe 2-level stands, it makes it different if the stairs are open for anybody or if there is a VIP lounge on the 2nd level. Or if you think of the catering offers on a booth, it's a different if there is a flying buffet with fusion food, or if there is some typical local dishes and food served on the trade show on your booth, whether you bring it with you or you organize it on site at the trade show. And sure thing is, with 60%, sales is the major goal, one of the major goals at a trade fair. Yeah? But it's much more than just selling. Yeah? It's talking about sales preparation. It's about maintaining sales activities, knowing that less and less contracts will be signed on the booth, but this is the opportunity for the personal meeting. And looking at the pandemic situation for the last 2 years, One thing all of the exhibitors are telling us that will remain is that much more communication in advance and after sales will be set up digitally. But finally, at the trade show, you meet the people live and in person. Finally, at the trade show, you can open your suitcase and show the product or the tool you want to talk about, something you will never do in an online or digital version, where with a screenshot or whatnot kind of opportunities this might be copied of whoever. Of course, trade shows are also good to make a determination of needs, to find out what is really requested by the industry, by your customers, or by potential customers, and where you can improve your service or your product or whatever you're offering or thinking to offer. Looking at the ratio of how many new people you meet at a trade show and how many existing clients you are able to meet at the trade show, for sure, the increase of customer loyalty is also a very, very big issue. And if you look at the trade shows nowadays, you very often see catering areas where there is a lot of hospitality opportunity to offer for customers and to do a chit chat beside the product and just stay in touch. Especially today, as Grinding Hub has its third day, the industry wasn't able to gather for the last 2 years. So there is so much talking going on, so much reunion going on. This is irreplaceable, and so many meetings by hazard, by smoking outside or meeting on the aisle or having a cup of coffee or a beer at night, where people meet each other, that hasn't been set up digitally or preset meetings at all. And if you know trade shows, you also know this kind of character. And this is the worst you can do, you or your staff. I mean, yeah, of course, there might be some times at a trade show where there is less frequency. And yeah, there might be a time where there is no person at all passing by. But if you then start doing your emails or start eating your lunch, then I can promise you nobody will disturb you during your lunchtime and people will move on. And I can tell you that we regularly receive critical feedback from exhibitors about their stand space, especially if the frequency and the quantity of leads is not what they expected. And whenever we go there and we look at the situation there, we meet people like this gentleman in the picture, people who are not aware, not taking care of the customers, who are not prepared and ready for business and ready for contacts. Completely different situation at this picture I took at AMB, our metalworking trade show we are setting up every 2 years in September. I mean, this is a totally different picture. She's displaying a new product. She's showing how to move it. In the background, you see a sign which says, "Wir suchen Vertragshändler." We are looking for dealers. We are looking for partners in this region. This is really making the best out of it. And I can tell you, she didn't have spectators at all time, but as soon as some spectators are taking a pause and watching this expert displaying some products, there is more people to come, and then there is interaction. And then, of course, there is the sales staff and the booth staff around on the aisles, making use of the opportunity to talk to these people standing in front, looking at the presentation and finding out what their need is and how the support might look. And this is a very important learning I want to share with you. Very often, we as a trade fair organizers are made responsible for the frequency at the booth. And this is not really the right way to see it. We as trade show organizers, we try our very best to make the show itself as known as possible, with marketing in general, with marketing of the show, with marketing of the show brand, with marketing the opportunities to get there and back home. Yeah. We need your help as exhibitors to promote that you are there, what to find on your booth, what highlights will be seen at your show, and for example, what innovations will be presented here at the trade show. One actual example from Grinding Hub on Tuesday morning, one of the big Swiss grinding companies announced an innovation, and that was really a big bang that went through the hall, and anybody involved from the industry, including the trade press, including their competitors, have been there at 10 o'clock when they relieved the covers and they displayed a completely new additive manufacturing tool that hasn't been there before and ever, especially from this company. And maybe another suggestion is to work with professionals. Nobody says you have to do this by yourself. And I took a picture from the last 2 years. I don't know if you know somebody who also tried to cut his hairs themselves during the first period of lockdown. I mean, there is thousands of pictures like this in the internet of people who said, I can do it by myself. It's not too difficult to cut my hairs. And I mean, look at the results. This is quite funny. Work with professionals, get some help, either with an agency, either with a colleague, either with friends. Discuss about your idea, share the idea, make use of the common knowledge and the common know-how to make the best out of your exhibition strategy or your booth setup or your presentations. And if you have a plan, then fulfill it, stick to the plan and do the things right. Also, 2 examples from the pandemic situation. One is a park in the USA. Another one is a queue line somewhere Eastern. Yeah? And on the left-hand side, I can tell you, there also had to be somebody to monitor that they stay in their circles. Yeah? And because they fulfilled the plan, it worked and anybody could enjoy the situation outside. And on the other hand, you see a picture where they also had the same idea, but the fulfillment looks completely different. So this would have been a good moment to control it or recontrol it, or to come up with a different plan. And don't be afraid to change somebody even during an ongoing show. We have nightly travels every night when people rearrange things at the booth, rearrange displays, rearrange the lighting, rearrange stuff in the catering. Trade show organizers are your service partners and we are there to fulfill. And I can assure you, anybody in the industry will help you if there is something to change. As I told you, there is much more to trade show than just sales. Another very, very important part of trade shows is information, either for obtaining or for conveying information. If you think at the market transparency you might experience at a trade show just by walking the show and see what your competitors are doing, are displaying, how they do it, I think this is a very, very important function. It is an opportunity to make or to get some market trends or to set some market trends depending on your targets and your products and your strategy. And of course, to explore much more than just the sales and customer experience, but also about technical and economic trends. And if you think about what is all set up and prepared for a trade show, make use of it. It's not only the show, there is also the chance to talk to the press. There is also the chance, as you will display the latest products, to fresh up your photo stock for all the ongoing activities you are doing on your website, you're doing with the trade press, you are doing on the social media. Maybe also the arrangements you are displaying at the booth can be used for your next brochure or catalog or online shop. So make use of the chance that you really have a state-of-the-art and updated portfolio on your booth, expecting that you won't display any products from the last season, but only the actual season products at this trade show. Or looking at Grinding Hub at the moment, there's many companies here who are also attending other metalworking shows. But here at Grinding Hub, it's 100% focused on the grinding technology. So that's a big chance for anybody to update the photo stock, to update all the information and anything about the grinding portfolio of the companies displaying here. Rather, it's from grinding or from cooling or from monitoring or from quality, absolute focus on grinding. Now is the time to update it and also to talk to companies. This is the picture. For Germans, it's very well known what's on the sandwich, because it's indeed a salad made out of sausage. It sounds curious, but it tastes very, very nice. And this company that was on a food and beverage show, they just stiffed this salad into a sandwich to find out whether this creates attraction and creates needs. I can tell you so far, I haven't seen it ever again somewhere. So obviously this didn't work out for this company. Another example, on many trade shows, you will find the opportunity not only to present and display products on your booth, but also to make use of, for example, forums that are set up within the hall or in neighboring halls or conference centers. Make use of this opportunity to book a slot or buy a slot and inform about your products and go beyond of just displaying them in a static way on your booth. In the background, you see a booth which is overwritten with Neue Helden, which is nothing else than a startup that just tried out to make new contacts on this trade show, either for venture capital, either for partners, either for sales support. So a lot of opportunities to make more out of a trade show than just on the own booth. Besides sales, beside information, I think motivation is a very, very big issue when we are talking about trade show. Think about the teamwork and the team spirit you're experiencing if you're attending a show. And it doesn't matter if it's just two of you attending a trade show and sharing a car and going for lunch, or if it's a whole bunch of people visiting the trade show and attending the trade show all together. It is great teamwork to set it up. In advance, you need different departments to get anything ready for the booth, starting from the development, from the technicians, from the marketing department, from the logistic department, from the graphics department. You need so many also internal services, providers and supporters that a trade show always gets together the team. You can set targets for a trade show, and this conveying a sense of achievement is, I think, a very, very big motivation. There is also a very, very practical thing about trade shows. They are not made to be postponed. I know we experienced something else in the last 2 years, but regularly the show date is fixed. And this is completely different than, for example, the launch of your new website or the printing date for your brochure. There is room to improve, and depending on the situation, you might postpone the launch of the website. As for trade shows, they have a fixed date, they have a fixed start, and there is a lot to be done until this can take place. And that's something we heard very, very often from our exhibitors within the last 2 years, that they are missing trade shows as a point of time where things have to be done, things have to be delivered, and things have to be ready. Depending on the trade fair location, I'll show a picture later on, this is also a high motivation and might even be an incentive for people to attend. Here is a picture from the Molding Expo team of Messe Stuttgart. And in this team, it's only every 2 years we're together. In this case, we were traveling for an international press conference to the beautiful city of Ljubljana in Slovenia. And this was a high motivation to be there as a team, to get this ready. And you see, even with the outfit, we had this unified common sense of corporate design and representing ourselves as a team, as the Molding Expo team of Messe Stuttgart. For me personally, CES Las Vegas is a high motivation to get there when I have the chance. And I bet when you heard about Bob Williamson and his announcement of the All African Manufacturing exhibition in Cape Town, you also had immediately a picture in mind about Cape Town and what to experience beside the pure trade show, and who could be a nice travel companion to join you there. So I think this is also something you should keep in mind, to make use of trade show as an incentive and as a motivation for the team. And keep in mind, getting things done is a major issue for a trade show. Normally, no chance to postpone. You're either ready or not. And this time pressure very often helps to fulfill the deadlines. From our experience with many trade shows and many exhibitors, we have set together some basics for exhibitors, and you will get the presentation, and you can maybe add or add on some of these points on your list. And some of the things are clear, but hey, just think about the hotel booking, which is clear you have to do it and you want to do it. But looking at the actual situation, if you're too late, you will have highly increased prices, or you have long distances to travel, depending on the trade show, depending on the city, and depending on the point of time. Also, think about your invitation of customers and visitors. As I mentioned beforehand, we as a trade show organizer, we are in charge to promote the show itself, to make it really known, to talk about what can we see there technology-wise. You are in charge to invite your customers and to tell them in detail who will be there from your team, which products will be shown there, when to meet, who to meet, and what to talk about. And the more you are inviting your customers, the better your individual show result will be. And there is a misunderstanding for decades. I can assure you, you are not the only one who is knowing your customers. Yeah, very often we are told, hey, I won't invite my customer. If he's coming to a trade show, then my competitor will identify them. You can be assured anybody is identified, anybody is known. You're not the only one having this account. So be aware of your products, of your services, of your quality, and make sure that your customers is invited, knows where to find you on the trade show, making use of the opportunity to talk to you or your staff that is on site, have a cup of coffee, or maybe invite them for a meal, dinner, or drink after the show closes. And this leads to a sustainable customer relationship. Another thing, very often we are told, hey, this show is too close to another show. And in this case, very often our exhibitors are not talking about stand construction or dismantling time. These are the good and real trade show experts. They are talking about the lack of time to follow up the trade show. So if you are looking at the month of May, in Germany, we have more than 50 shows ongoing within the actual 4 weeks. This is organizational wise a big issue, but rather follow-up wise, it's very, very hard for the teams to follow up their leads from the trade show. But to follow up your leads is the most important task you have to schedule in as your after trade show, in your after trade show schedule. Last not least, we put together some faux pas we see every now and then. For sure, it's the lack of planning your own visits. Yeah, as you're on a trade show, there is much more to see than your own booths and catering facilities. So find out where your partners, where your collaboration partners are, maybe some competitors are, and do your own personal planning as well. Yeah. Schedule in detail the plan for the team. Schedule in detail what you are expecting as a dress code, as a behavioral code on the booth. And depending on what you want to achieve, it might be okay to sit and might not be okay to sit. Just put it on your way and put it in a written briefing and make sure anybody knows it. Make sure of the opportunity that you as an exhibitor can enter the hall a little bit earlier than the visitors, and make use of the opportunity to have a cup of coffee and talk through the schedule of the day and talk about the targets of the day, either if they are hard targets or social targets, but make sure anybody knows the target of the trade show itself. Make sure the dress code is clear, and there's no right or wrong. There is the one booth where anybody is uniformed and wearing a tie, and there's the other one with many individuals presenting them as they come and as they please. Just make sure anybody knows about the dress code. Make sure that there is a regulation for food and drinks on the booth. Yeah, and once again, there is no bad or wrong, good or bad. Just make sure anybody knows when to start with the drink, or when to eat, where to eat, and how to behave. Well, as I said, this is a very individual point of view from my side. Being with Messe Stuttgart for more than 10 years, I had the chance to experience quite some shows. I hope you can take some of the ideas, some of the do's and don'ts for you as an achievement of this presentation this afternoon. Last but not least, trade fairs will remain the most important, or will remain one of the most important instruments in the business-to-business communications. I hope I could show you that trade fair is much more than a sales channel. And last but not least, I can assure you, it's not the trade fair that is offering or doing creating a market. It's you and the industry. Our role is to get you together, to bring you together, ideally under a roof or in a good location. Prepare anything that you can create a good show, fulfill anything you are requesting for a trade show, and then it's you who is getting the content to the show and making the contact with the visitors. As I mentioned, for Messe Stuttgart, we are organizing in total 6 industry shows. You are warmly welcome to visit us at one of our shows. You will find all details on the website of Messe Stuttgart. I hope you could get something out of this presentation for your next preparation of a trade show. And I'm very curious about your questions right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gunnar. Now, before I wrap up but let's just go into the questions and answers. You should all be familiar with the chat window. And what we would like you to do is just enter your queries and your questions. And then our Secretariat, Manuel Oliveira, will actually bring them up, table them, and let's enter into some discussion. Manuel, have we got any questions already appearing? I know they often start slowly and then accelerate.
Yes, we already have one question from Portugal. And I will try to read it for Gunnar. So Gunnar spoke a lot about the face-to-face fairs, but at digital fairs, are the goals and preparation the same? And the results, from your experience, what are they like? And with the control of the COVID pandemic, the fairs became 100% face-to-face. Is everything already clear on that, or still room for digital exhibitions?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Very good question. I think if we are looking at the preparation of digital events, of course, there is a lot of things you don't have to keep in mind and you don't have to organize. So usually you won't need a hotel booking or make up your mind about travel setups, travel schedules, or travel budgets. But on the other hand, also a digital presentation has to be prepared very well. If you think about the technical improvement that had to be made, talking about camera technique, talking about audio technique, talking about the style of presentation. And I mean, hey, during the pandemic, anybody became a kind of movie, whatever, but we didn't do beforehand at all. Beforehand, if you had to do something like that, you hired somebody who did it on a professional basis. Now, all of a sudden, we all had to be media people, spokesmen or presentators all of a sudden. And one felt pretty comfortable with it and the other one maybe not. So I think for a digital event, there is also a lot of good preparation to be made. And also you have to set your targets. If you think of digital events, I attended many of them. If it's just the digital twin of your website, then you rather can link to your website, isn't it? But once again, I will refer to Grinding Hub. If it's a special event, in this case for Grinding Hub, then you rather focus your information on this special technology. And I think this is work to do and room for improvement to really customize the information to the target group that is to be expected for the digital presentation in attending. And looking at the results, I think we all made very, very good results and or were able to do many, many good results. If you look especially in the machine tool industry at the order activities, there is a huge increase in order activities at the machine tool industry, and this happened totally without trade shows. And yet there is the tendency of 370 companies now at Grinding Hub from the machine tool sector because they want to get back on the trade show floor and get back in touch with people. So I think there is a lot of good results to be made, but it's not a substitution of the personal meeting, but it may substitute many, many of the back and forth meeting you had to set up before. Talking about the pandemic, to be honest, if I would know the answer, I would maybe make some investments at this point of time. But a life experience from today. In Germany, the COVID-19 regulations were released on April 3. And we had the chance to welcome ISMA community with the Max meeting point on May 3rd. On May 3rd, I would say, in parallel, we had two industrial shows going on. I would say at this point of time, about half of the people were wearing a mask, even though you were able not to wear a mask. It was a recommendation, but it was not obligatory. If I look outside now, 99.9% of attendees and exhibitors aren't wearing a mask at all. So you don't see any mask here at the moment. So anybody is relieved. We have very nice weather conditions as by today. And luckily, Omicron isn't affecting the health as it was before. On the other hand, if there will be the next mutant and the situation will get worse, I think we all, you and your companies, we as a trade show organizer, we have these plans set, and we just have to take them out of the cupboard and reinstall them. I think we all got used to wear a mask, and if this is what it's needed to be able to meet in person, I think this is a very, very low price we are all willing to pay to be able to make some reunions. Also, the whole testing situation, at least we had in Germany, I think this is now very established, very routine. And if this is the price we have to pay, that we all get tested to visit a show in November, December, or January, I think anybody is pleased to pay it. Me personally, of course, as by nature, I hope that we won't see any lockdown in the event industry ever again.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question, Mayo.
No, I don't have further questions now. Maybe you would like to make a comment on the presentation of Gunnar?
I very much would. I think what I would do is I would urge everybody who was logged in and listened to this to take careful note. We've all been involved in exhibitions at various times, but this is possibly, and it was a first for me, when we've actually heard opinions or had received opinions from the other side. You know, Gunnar and his team have been there, they've done it. They've watched people who've done it professionally and succeeded. They've watched people make a mess of it. he was open and very frank today about how you can gain. And the gains are incredible, but so are the losses. So I would urge you all to take note. If you found it interesting, you're going to find a recording of this presentation on the website. So if you want to play it again, think about it carefully, go through his notes, look at the presentations, please do so, because it's gold. It really is gold. Gunnar, I really thank you for this presentation. I think we've become more than close associates over the years. I know you very well. I know your team very well. I applaud what you're doing. I think you're making an incredible contribution to our association as a global partner. Thank you, and thank you for today's presentation. And to the rest of ISMA World, thanks for connecting. The next one will be coming up shortly, and you'll be notified. And we're going to be listening to Clarita, one of our new global partners, talking about their revolutionary process of turning waste into product. It's part of the Sustainable Development Program. So yeah, let's look forward to the next webinar. Bidding you all farewell. Goodbye from South Africa.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you, Manuel, for organizing, and thanks for anybody who joined this afternoon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gunnar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.